going on, everyone? Josh and Kyle here, the Card Guys. Obviously, we got Game 5 of Week. Is it 3? Week 3.
It is Week 3
of the FAB Team League, online Team League. There's Sebastian on the left and Joe Cologne actually on the right. Looks like we got Chane versus Prism. We've already lost the match or the round or whatever, but this is just for record's sake, and it's also just a good match in general with two very well-known players, two very, well, I guess just very good players in general. We have Chane versus Prism. Historically, Josh, I feel like this is just better for Chane than anything.
Most of the Rune Blades have a pretty good matchup against Prism. So we see Seb just making a Rune Chant, making a Soul Shackle, and passing, not allowing two things here: not allowing Prism to filter, and preserving his action point just in case Prism tried to do some end of turn shenanigans.
Oh wow!
We see a very early erudition here from Prism.
Definitely forces blocks out of Sebastian here from his hand. He does not want that to hit.
Yep, this is just getting the grasp and a card from hand.
Yeah, so you see him just blocking the 5 here, and then he just comes in with the fractal right after. That kind of forces more blocks out of his hand, right? At the same time, this might actually just hit. That's really good.
Yeah, that you can't ask for a much better hand than that.
No,
seeing fractal replication makes us lean towards a
super aggro
Herald game.
Yeah.
Fractal replication is actually a card that is not super common in Prism lists. They the red card of choice is the one that if you pop it, they copy an aura. I forgot the name of
the Miraging Metamorph. Yep.
Yeah, that's the much more common choice here. Red cards in general in the Prism deck have a very very high bar, and even though we're seeing this as basically as high bar as it gets, so a lot of Prism players are thinking that it's not quite good enough. So we might actually be seeing a very different build.
Yep.
From Prism. And yeah, it looks like this is a Herald aggro deck.
So far that's what it's looking like.
This is basically a deck that does not exist in the real quote unquote real metagame.
Yeah.
Because Starvo would absolutely tear this deck apart. So
pretty sure he did know that Sebastian was more likely playing Chane, so he kind of catered his deck towards
that is basically what I am saying without saying it.
Yeah, no, I'll say it. I mean, it's Sebastian,
but that's fine.
Is the Chane
I actually
guy,
think
right?
this is. I think both players are actually kind of using this match as like an experiment.
Oh, for sure.
If we assume that something is going to happen to Starvo on May 2nd, and so what would a Prism post Starvo look like? Very likely it would look like this, actually.
You're not wrong, especially if kind of what we were looking at and talking about was, if they do something to Starvo, they might have to do something to Viscerai. And if they do something to Viscerai, they probably need to do something to Prism then, just to kind of even everything out. And then everybody's like, oh well, Chane kind of fits right in there if that happens, right? And so if you go off the basis of probably looking at Oldhim and Oldhim Chane, where does Prism go from that? And so that's kind of what you'd be looking at for Prism, is just to have more of an aggro strategy. Oh, and he ends on a Pierce Rally. Maybe it's possible that he just drew Those were just the cards he drew.
Well, the Pierce Reality is a card that is one of the few auras that a Herald aggro deck would actually keep.
Oh, they get the +2, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Fair enough.
That and the Mirage card would be the two best ones. And Soul Reaping getting banished, that is not good.
That's not good at all.
That is one of the most powerful cards, and it's also a 6-power card.
That is very true.
All right. Basically, whatever the Chane player does here is just gonna be.
So he's just attacking the Pierce Reality. That's probably correct.
All right. Yep.
That +2 for the first attack every turn is hard sometimes. So.
Yep. And with one card in your hand, you might as well clear the board with your action point.
For sure. Yeah, that's what we're going to be seeing here.
Phantasmaclasm and Impenetrable Belief. So this is a very, very teched deck from Joe. You would never play Impenetrable Belief in a standard
it's almost like we're going back to Vegas. Kind of how this deck kind of looked at Vegas. We're playing a little bit of the Phantasmaclasms and the Impenetrable Belief just for the Chane match.
And yeah, so you sent a card to the bottom. I didn't quite see what it was, but
I believe it was Shrill Skullthorn, the blue one.
Okay. Well, looks like Seb is probably going to take some damage here to try to return some damage.
Yep, that is very true.
Because it's very likely his hand doesn't block particularly well.
Well, and he gets going.
Give it. Yep.
Well, not that it necessarily matters, but he can just come in for another Spectral here.
Yeah, it's just being card efficient here.
Yep.
Yep. This is one of the issues with being so well known on a deck is people will bring this type of shenanigans.
Oh, he hit Shadowverse and Riftbind though. That's not bad hits on Shackle too.
All right, full grip of cards. Definitely going to want to output at least 20 damage this turn if possible.
I believe Joe's trying to think if he's going to ALS here because he... Okay, so he passed it. They both stopped moving their cursor. What he banished? A Bounding Demigod. Okay.
Yep, so the Rune Chant just taking out the aura there.
Looks like he blocks.
Not.
No, he's blocking now.
Looks like he's... Okay. Okay.
Hey, he's just trying to get more efficient out of his blue pitch there, so...
Yeah, that card can block for 3 on this turn, possibly 4 instead of 2, because Chane did not banish 3 cards.
So he drew the Shadow Averser, huh? He drew the Shadow Averser, if I'm not mistaken, off of the Phantasmaclasm after Joe put a blue back in his deck. Or I took it out of his hand, rather.
Yep. So those blues are going to be used to pay for Hell from Beyond.
Yep. And we do know that this last card in his hand is a Ghostly Visit. We just don't know what his arsenal is.
Hell from Beyond is a pretty good card here because that prevents the Footsteps from blocking again.
Yep. Oh, ooh. Talisman. We love this card.
Very spicy card.
He's got Bounding in his He's got Bounding in his banish here and a Riftbind. So he's gonna be coming in for
the Rosetta Thorn here is so annoying now with the Talisman Warfare on the field.
Oh, for sure. So he's coming in for 2 separate cases of 2. So he needs to block. He's forcing Joe to go ahead and block and use his footsteps again since he broke the chain. And Joe's gonna take 2 here, but from different sources, so Talisman won't trigger. But now his Bounding Demigod comes in for, I believe that's a yellow one if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so it's 2, 3. It's coming in for 6 altogether.
Yep. Okay, so that's one way to get around the Talisman of Warfare.
That is right. That is a pretty good way to get around Talisman. There is just
actually, does Talisman trigger? It does. It does trigger.
I believe it does trigger.
Which means it goes. So
Yep.
Talisman of Warfare not being so useful there.
Nope, not in the slightest. The Sink Below is a very good card to have in the arsenal for that. Looks like Sebastian's just gonna take one for his Rift Bind. And here we are, just a Herald of Protection. Is that a red one?
It is.
It is a red one. So yeah, that's the route we're going here. So set looks like we're going
So Chane basically only has maximum 7 cards with 6+ power.
Mm-hmm.
So this is gonna be pretty rough. Like CNC, Soul Reaping, plus 9th Blade is generally the suite that they run. Art of War being banished.
Wouldn't be 9th, but I believe it'd be Runic Reclamation though.
Yes, the okay, those should be going in the exile zone.
Oh.
Seb, you know better than that. What was I gonna say? The Runic Reclamation is the Everfest update, yes. So they would not be running 9th Blade, they would be running Runic Reclamation.
Yep.
Correct. The 9th Blade is the back in the Monarch and Tales of Aria meta.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So those 3 cards should be in the banished zone, but I guess it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, grand scheme of things, I don't think it matters. But...
Yeah. Although I do like properly maintaining the board state.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we got a Modern Skies into on Howled Rights. He's gonna be putting the Howl from Beyond back on the bottom of his deck. It's coming to him for 4 go again. So now he's got his Rosetta Thorn active, and he afterwards too he has his Ghostly Visit that he can come in with. He can shackle his Ghostly Visit. So he's presenting 12 damage here, and I don't know if that if Joe really cares about that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's gonna be able to block probably most of it and still come.
You know that Talisman of Warfare might have been just in the deck for another yellow pitch, in case the Prism's running library. Because I think if the Prism puts library down, it might become basically impossible for Seb to remove it.
Yeah, that's also a big,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many yellow. I'm not sure how many yellow cards he runs. Probably maybe the yellow Riftbind, yellow Bounding. Maybe I'm not exactly sure.
By Joe taking all of this damage here, that tells me that he's got an incredible turn.
He's probably got an Air Edition with Pummel or 2 attacks into an Air Edition, something like that. Wartune Herald. With Tunic on 3, this could be Wartune Herald, Air Edition.
Yep. Or
I mean,
he tries to.
He has 5 cards plus the Tunic. There's actually a lot of possibilities here.
Yeah.
So now this is going to be very tricky to defend. Every single time that there's a wide attack pattern, and seeing your opponent pitch a Herald of Judgment is
that
a
should be kind of scary. That's scary.
Okay, so Miraging Metamorph, this actually, this is the card that we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really, really good card. Better for the Aura decks, but it also, this is basically Super E-Strike, if you think about it. It's 7 go again.
Yeah.
And it only costs a card to pitch. Yep. Blue War Tune. Another card that you basically probably are not blocking.
Yeah.
Because the threat of the other two cards is too high here.
It's weird because like the threat of the other two cards are very alarming, and you still have Husk. And if you let this hit, he just passes turn, right? And then you're like, oh, okay. And then Husk just gets popped, and then it's just worst case scenario for Sebastian. So here, I believe he either gets rid of his whole hand or he needs to block with Carrion Husk. Herald of Protection presents quite a bit of damage.
That is a little bit of an odd hand to say no blocks and just attack back with. I guess since we're getting close to the Carrion Husk threshold, that Joe was like,
that's kind of what he
well,
was
we
thinking.
might as well put a little bit of pressure at this particular point. Okay, pretty important shackle here.
This is a very important shackle. Yep.
If this turn is big, we may see the Chane be able to take some tempo in this game.
And he whiffs.
And he whiffs completely. However, he still has some nuts in his... Does he have anything in his...
No, he does not. He played his Riftbind, so he is currently out of gas.
All right, so that is pretty bad.
He needs to present some sort of damage here, though.
Yep.
But the issue of Carrion Husk being gone really hurts him, especially if he's just gonna throw many, many heralds back at him.
Yep. So these cards in hand are likely blues, or one of them's a blue. So if the arsenal card is not a very good target, we may see just Grasp into Rosetta.
Yep.
See that there's a blue. So it looks like Soul Shackle into Rosetta. And then maybe something coming after.
We know Ghostly Visits. If I was paying attention correctly, Ghostly Visits in his arsenal. Just depends on what the card in his hand is. Looks like he takes one. A lot of times when Sebastian does this, he's got a CNC, but I don't think he's doing that. I think he's gonna have to play the Ghostly. So yeah, we got Ghostly coming in for 4. And at this point, Sebastian's gonna have to block very, very, very efficiently to want to come back in this game. I know the life total says different, but Carrion Husk being gone, Joe having a full hand with Sebastian being at 16, it's hard, you know. Very.
One of the
hard.
tactics that I personally like to utilize is going to be pretty difficult to employ here. It's the tactic of, calculating whether or not they have lethal, dropping to 1 or 2 health. Chane is one of those heroes that can't really do that, because if he drops to 1 or 2,
wow,
walk out.
Wow, Sebastian might have the swing back. Joe attacked with the Wartune Herald. Blue Wartune taking 5 and played Pierce Rowdy. So if Sebastian gets some hits on this shackle, he might be able to capitalize on the game. And his deck just does not seem to like him at all.
We may need to check his ratios later. I think you want at least a third of your deck to be Blood Debt, but I'm not exactly sure. I feel like he may not be running quite enough Blood Debt. But he still has 5 cards, so not the end of the world.
Having a 5-card hand here is really good, especially with kind of how the game's turned out this entire time. So he's playing Red Lead the Charge.
Sure.
One thing that Sebastian wanted to try with this deck, he's calling it Arcane Chane. He's playing quite a bit of different stuff. If we saw earlier, he's playing Red Vex Analysis in his deck here. Just
and
to
Revel.
diversify ways of going in for damage. He's playing Revel of Rune Blood. If I'm not mistaken, he's playing Consuming Volition as well. And he's playing Yellow Shrill of Skullform, which he added in earlier, I'm assuming, because I didn't see that as this. So he's coming in right now for 6, gaining his action point because he's shackled. So he's going to have 2 action points here with 1 floating. Must be a really good attack in his arsenal then, from what I'm reading. Double CNC, so he's double blocking. That'd have been a really good card for Joe.
CNC is it's a little hit or miss here. CNC won't have go again generally, and there might not be anything in Arsenal, so there's that as well.
So you see Revel. Wow.
Yep. And he still has an action point here.
Yep. So he's coming in.
So this is 4 arcane, and then 1 source of 2 arcane, and then 2 more damage.
4, 2, and 2. Yep. Very good turn out of Sebastian so far.
Yeah, he may be able to claw this back. Starting to wonder if Prism's actually running ALS.
Kind of think of the same thing, right? How much was Joe at before this attack?
18 or 19, I think,
18,
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This wasn't the biggest turn from Seb, but he still got 2 cards out of his hand, and
wow, and this is coming in for 9.
Yep. So he should know that nothing else is coming after
he draws
this.
the runic. That's great.
Yep. That's a good time to draw that.
That is a great time to draw that.
And this actually is probably going to put Prism on the back foot here.
Yep, for sure.
Unless that card in Arsenal's ALS. There's Eclipse.
That Eclipse, I'm pretty sure, is dead at this point.
So we have a Bounding Demigon here.
Yep.
Not the greatest in the world, but
not awful, especially when Joe's at 10 life here.
It might get the job done here.
For sure.
So we have to think here in terms of turn cycle. If Seb throws damage at Joe, the most logical thing for him to do is to hold 2 cards and attack back to get the Pierce Reality. However, there's no Herald plus Pierce Reality that's going to be able to threaten lethal.
Yeah.
So it's
basically
the Pierce Reality here is not. This might just be a full block turn for 2 turns, and then that he can strike back. That might make more sense. We'll see. So we've got a Minnowism here.
Too, so
yeah, that's true. He still has a little bit of a buffer here.
So with this Minnowism, this one gives +3 to next attack that has 3 or less.
3 or less
power.
base,
Yeah.
which the Bounding Demigod is perfect here.
So it's coming in for 6.
Yep, he didn't have to pitch there. So yep, 6 is not bad.
So it's a Soul Shield. That's really good for him too, having having a soul on the comeback turn too.
Mhm. It's a little bit more powerful with a higher life total, but it's still not bad.
I feel like Joe just takes all of this. Or no, he just blocks the skull cap here, and
that
I guess
attack was kind of ran head first into a clean skull cap block. Now he's out of action points, right? Unless okay,
looks like he inverts.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there a non-attack action in here?
Yeah, there's a pierce.
The pierce reality. Yep. Air edition pierce reality. Yep, makes sense. 2 arcane flying over now.
Yeah, that's not awful for Sebastian.
If the Prism has a blue, you might just block this here. Dropping any lower here is pretty risky as Prism.
I agree.
Because unless your 3 cards can guarantee to get a card out of Seb's hand.
Yeah, he took it.
Okay, so this is probably a yellow into double.
He's also got
yellow into double heralds here.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. Phantasmaclasm for 11.
Uh-oh. He has 2 cards that don't block.
Well, that's game.
That Shadow Puppetry is definitely going away now.
Yeah, that Shadow Puppetry goes bye-bye immediately.
Oh, no? Oh, he's taking his mana. Interesting. I would have taken the Source of Go again.
Maybe he's just playing it safe here.
Well, he's taking the block from his hand, I guess. That is a risk of playing cards that don't block. When you need to block, you may find yourself with 2 copies of cards that don't block. The only hero that can kind of get away with that is Prism, because they're dumping auras on the board and you have to deal with the auras or you will die indirectly. So this has go again, but there's no float. So hopefully Seb realizes that.
My question is, how did he pay for it? He pitched
Tunic.
Soul Shield. Oh, Tunic. Okay.
Tunic.
Silly me. Yeah, Tunic.
So if Seb blocks like this, he's going to 1, means he has to kill. I don't know if you can do that against Prism, because this Prism is likely to have 12 block in hand.
Yep. Be very hard to kill at 7.
And you can't. Well, the thing is, you might be able to, if you go to 1, then you turn off the skull cap. Okay, so that I think this is a better play. Yep. So here he's going to go to 4.
Yep, goes to 4 here, and well,
Yeah.
no, 4.
Then it's not quite do or
5.
die.
No, he'll go to 3. Since Phantasmaclasm's.
Oh, hold on.
11.
Pierce reality here is.
Yeah, it's coming in for 11. That's the issue, right? Like the Pierce reality is the issue.
Okay, so that means he has 2 Talisman of Warfares here.
That means he plays a talisman, and he wow, a smash. Wow.
So he has to block with creepers here.
He has to, just to be at 1. You can see his mouse going everywhere, like, really?
He knows, and Joe knows.
Yeah.
That Prisms do not play Snatch.
They used to a very long time ago. Wow. So Sebastian's just folding here. He's saying you got it.
No, he's blocking here. He's gonna see what he draws.
Go to 1. Gotta kill him with 3 cards. Oh, that's... Yeah.
That's
Wow.
a good draw. I would have kept that in Arsenal.
Yeah, I would have too. But and not like it really matters. From Beyond, Bounding Demigod, Double Sting of Sorcery, Belittle, another Howl from Beyond. Yeah, he can't. No way he can
can't
pay
even
for
play.
all of this.
Yep.
Double Bounding. So he can. He just has to use both of his talismans to play the Howl from Beyond. But if Joe's like, hey, I got the one of ALS, it's game. I don't any of this.
This is just howl, shackle, bounding.
Yeah, it's just like double howl, shackle, bounding into bounding.
Yep.
Or a Rosetta. Well, you can't even Rosetta at that point, so.
He has to get through effectively 22 health here.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough, you know.
That's not happening.
Definitely just impossible at this point. So I guess looking forward to something that LSS might do with the, doing things to the meta as far as getting rid of cards or doing anything with a ban restriction announcement coming. Was it May 2nd? We're more than likely looking at it could be possibly a deck sort of kind of like Joe's, which could be a possibility, which is pretty neat. It's a captain's
That is
call.
true.
It's a
A lot of things from Everfest benefited Herald Aggro, and we haven't really seen them fully explored in Classic Constructed.
Yep, that is true.
Okay, so Captain's Call, I'm presuming damage, since he doesn't need 2 sources to go again here. Captain's Call, Howl, Bounding. I think even if Prism has 2 cards that don't block, this is not enough.
Yep, I agree. It'd be different if he didn't draw the sigil. But yeah. Still same outcome probably no matter what. He just throws his whole hand at it and says good game. And he just blocks 2. Yeah. He had 11 blocked there. So, oh well. Good game from Joe.
GG.
GG's. We'll get Sebastian here. We can talk about it for a moment. He's probably going to be like, freaking Herald beat them. Let's see. Only thing that really matters is the last round, right? The playoff. That's what we're really here for, is the playoff. Easy. We'll wait for Seb here. I'll cut this part out while we're doing the until we get to the interview. It's kind of unfortunate with some of the stuff that he had. But yeah.
This is why I said in our team chat that everybody should be playing at least 3 different heroes.
Yep.
Preferably heroes that complement each other. Like Warrior and Wizard are actually very complementary heroes. You stuff your deck full of D-Reacts and forget your null rune, you get punished.
I'll message him and get him in here. Maybe Sebastian's in here. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, there he is. Hey,
Sorry,
Sebastian.
me and Joe
Oh no,
a
you're
second.
fine. You're fine.
we were laughing because it was such a fun game. We were like,
It
oh
was,
my gosh.
It was weird. It was weird. I had it. Obviously, you and I talked about it before your match. We kind of had a feeling that he was gonna do something along the lines of that if he played Prism. It just makes sense, and it's a pretty neat deck, especially if we're looking at how the format can go. With after May 2nd, that very well possibly could have a deck like that for Prism be a real thing in the meta. So
Oh yeah.
it's cool to see something like that be played. It sucks that it also just has a good matchup against you, for the most part. So
I mean, hit
walk
effects are
us
pretty
through
good.
that game.
Turn 1 Erudition and a Fractal. I'm like, all right, that set the tone. I was like, all right.
Yeah, that's exactly what we said too. Yeah.
Yep.
And
we knew what was coming after that. We knew what type of deck he was on.
yeah,
Immediately.
I don't know. I felt like, I don't know. Josh can tell me if I didn't, but I felt like I was blocking decently. But it was just towards the end of the game, I had to rely on shackles, and turn 5 and 6 didn't get any hits. So there was that lead the charge turn, which was a pivot turn in the game, where if I had 3 or 4, I had the captain's call set in Arsenal, and I could have gone 4, 5 attacks wide and just ended up with a because he was at 10 life for 4 turns or around there, right? So it was just kind of unfortunate that I was only able to play 1 attack Rosetta 2 turns in a row, and that gave him the momentum because I didn't even have enough to push a card, and then Rosetta into Pierce Reality. So it hurt a lot.
It hurt when
Not Pierce, yeah.
It definitely hurt when
Lion.
you on that second shackle turn when he just went Herald, War Tune, and just came in for 5, and you snap took it. You not hitting anything in your banish that turn was very key. If you hit like 1 or 2 cards that turn, out of the 5 or 6 that you had, you probably take all the momentum back.
Yeah, and then put him on the straight blocking strategy, but
Yeah.
with only attacking 1 in Rosetta, it allowed him to keep 2 cards every turn, then throw Herald, and then eventually Phantasmaclasm into Snatch, which was I was just laughing about it, he was laughing about it. I'm like, I was like, dude. And then he realized he missed lethal with the Pierce Reality. I'm like, bro, and you misplayed it. He missed the Pierce Reality hit a couple times, and he's like, oh god, I'm so bad. And it was just a fun game. We were just laughing, and I'm like, yeah.
That's funny.
Mhm.
That's funny. Well, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, you know. But glad you got your game in. We could finally get it recorded and whatnot, and that's pretty much it. Any final words?
I don't know. Joe's a super cool guy, and Hyperloops, I've heard from you guys, they've all been pretty cool, right? So
Yeah, really nice.
Definitely a great group of guys. Good players too.
Definitely, bro. Well, if you guys have stayed with us this long, don't forget to leave a like on the video. And if you saw any cards that you might need for the upcoming format, more than likely you probably need some of them. Head on over to our TCG player link, click that, and use our link to get some of those cards. No extra charge to you. Give us a little kickback to help get to events and pay for gas and whatnot. It's usually helpful. But yeah, that's pretty much it for us, guys. Have a good rest of your day.
See you next time.
Bye bye.